Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the Leather Goods Footwear Manufacturers Exporters Association Bangladesh and BLLISS-2023, it is my distinct pleasure to begin the second breakout session linking Bangladesh to the global value chain today. We are extremely delighted and privileged to have a real rock star of panelists who have, in their individual capacities, in-depth knowledge as well as experience of how global value chains work. And I would like to briefly just read the names and the designations of the four panelists and then invite them to take their places on the stage. So our moderator, a gentleman who needs no introduction to Bangladesh, Mr. Sandeep Das, Regional Managing Director, South Asia and President Global, Softlines and Hardlines of Intertech. Mr. Das has spent a lot of time in Bangladesh. He's a great friend of Bangladesh. Sandeep, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And then we have our second panelist, Mr. Hasnat Abu Ubaidah, more popularly known as Marshall. He's the Marshal and the Field Marshal of the shoe industry in Bangladesh, Managing Director of MAF Shoes. And next we have Dr. Sylvia Pop, from Project Manager of GIZ, as we know, one of our oldest and most reliable development friends of Bangladesh, GTZ, now GIZ. Sylvia, welcome. Great to have you here. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Mr. Mir Ehsanul Haq. Ehsan Bhai, of course, needs no introduction. The Commercial Director of Aman Bangladesh, one of the leading investments in Bangladesh, working in the thread space. I would now like to hand over to the very able moderator, Mr. Das.
Thank you so much, Naseem. Good afternoon, everyone, and assalamu alaikum. And thanks for joining us in the second breakout session. Can you hear me at the back? Audible? Okay, good. First requirement met. So the topic of today is linking Bangladesh to the global value chain. And I think the discussion is super topical because, you know, if I flash back to the year 2001, when I first came to Bangladesh and Dhaka city, there was also a time when RMG was part of the vocabulary, but not outside of the country, okay? And the only factory, I was in a different industry, but the only garment factory I knew of was a small place in the Gulshan 1 circle. I don't know whether it exists now. Cut to 2023, the garment sector is the second largest in the world, challenging the mighty, scale and competency of China. So that is the miracle that's happened in this country. So it's very apt that the key stakeholders of the leather and footwear industry present in this room and outside also have similar sort of ambitions for this sector, because, you know, if one can do it, why not the rest? Because it's also true that a large part of the GDP and the export of the country is dependent on the RMG sector. So, you know, even for an economic hedge or security, it's important for other sectors to grow. So, you know, with that in mind, I think we have a panel of very distinguished speakers, all eminent, as Naseem said, in their own rights. But I think people who will be able to give very different perspectives to what does it take, for Bangladesh to really scale up their contribution in the value chain. Because remember, the process has begun. It's not that the leather and footwear sector is in a state of infancy, and it is well known across the world. And to give you another story, I was meeting one of the fastest growing retailers in the world last year, and they were trying to scale up their sourcing of leather shoes from Bangladesh, and they knew about this one manufacturing group, and they were asking me about compliance, etc. They said, look, I mean, we know that the capability exists in this country. We just want you guys to help us understand the bits and bobs that we need to just tick all the boxes in terms of sustainability, in terms of compliance, etc. So the journey is really started. The question is, do we have 10 such factory or manufacturing groups? Do we have 100, or when will we have 100? And what is it that is blocking, the way of Bangladesh reaching those 100 world-class scale factories? So the format of the discussion is going to be fairly simple. We are going to come up with a 2 to 3 minute opening statement, each speaker, after I introduce them in a little more detail. And then there are 2 questions per head that we have agreed, in line with the expertise of individual speakers that we're going to ask, so that, you guys get a more detailed perspective into the topic. And then there's going to be a closing statement, but more importantly, it's a discussion, remember? So anyone is free to ask any questions in any language whatsoever, and we'll translate. But the idea is to have a free flow of thinking and information. So far, so good? Okay, good. So some people are nodding, so I'm hoping the others also are in agreement. Okay, so before we start, I just want to briefly introduce the speakers, because it's very important for us to understand. But I'm very, happy that LFMEAB have been able to put together such a distinguished panel. Like Naseem said, Hasnat Abu Ubaida Marshall, also known as Marshall, or I don't know whether he's known as the Field Marshal. He's a director of LFMEAB and the MD of MAF Shoes. Under his visionary leadership, MAF has become a leading sports shoe manufacturer in Bangladesh, as you may be aware. It shares a successful partnership with Decathlon, one of the largest sportswear retailers, one of our largest customers. Marshall will be sharing with us learnings from his unique success story that can help link other local businesses to the global value chain. So he's actually traveled the journey. So it's easy for someone to have traveled the journey to share his success stories with you guys, right? Then we have Dr. Sylvia Pop, Project Manager GIZ. Some of you may be knowing her. She manages the social protection project of GIZ, leading international enterprise by the German federal government for sustainable development and educational work. She will be telling us about the opportunities in the area for Bangladesh leather and footwear sector that can help support the labor force, which is the backbone of the economy, or which is the backbone of any sector, right? And last but not the least, I hope I haven't lost the intro card. Just bear with me for a minute. Mr. Mir Ehsanul Haq, but Ehsan Bhai for all of us, right? I mean, everyone has a short name over here, right? Commercial Director, Aman, Bangladesh. Since 2013, he has been working in the strategic sales and marketing position for Aman. He will share with us his insights on how to use commercial and marketing strategies to create a stronger success story for the leather and footwear sector. And to introduce myself briefly, my name is Sandeep Das, and I'm the global president of soft lines and hard lines, which is garments, leather and footwear, toys, furniture, that particular sector for Intertech, which is a total quality assurance company. As some of you know, we work with most of the people and the factories and the manufacturing groups present here and also outside of this hall. We are a 135-year-old company, and it's been a privilege for me personally to be working in the South Asian space and to see the contribution of Bangladesh grow both in the garment as well as the leather and footwear sector. So that's the introduction, so that's out of the way. Now we'll start with the 3-minute intro, and if I may put my humble thoughts on the subject forward. It's my job, it's my day job to meet large buyers and retailers across the world, right? And as I said, Bangladesh is already a topic of conversation in the footwear and leather and accessories sector. Now, when we talk about scaling up contribution in the value chain, typically, I mean, those of us who sort of run businesses, we talk about two kinds of factors, right? The pull factor and the push factor. And this is not really a jargon because, I'll explain in a bit. The pull factor is, what is it that attracts the sector stakeholders like buyers, retailers, and large brands so that they get pulled towards a sourcing destination. That's very important because, at the end of the day, that's been one of the key success factors of the RMG industry over here. And if I look at some of the factors that contribute to pull, the first one obviously is capability. You have to be able to produce quality products in that particular sector, be it, in this case, leather, non-leather, footwear, accessories, what have you, right? And once you achieve that quality, then we are talking about the various kinds of types, of categories. Shoes is not one product category. There's so many types of shoes. If I just see the kinds of shoes that everyone in this hall is wearing, all of us are wearing different sorts of shoes, right? But they're all shoes. So, when in the buying community, each category is a particular capability, and that's something that a sector and a country has to have for the buyer to be able to source, right? That's fairly simple. But the big thing right now is capacity, because because if I look at RMG, that's been the success story of Bangladesh, where even if no one wants to sell over here, the buyers will have to come here because there is a huge capacity that's been built over the past 2 decades in terms of a particular set of garment types at a particular price point. That's an unbeatable competitive advantage in the world of trade, right? So if you build that, then that becomes like a magnet. It attracts buyers and retailers and large brands, like a swarm of bees, okay? And then comes other important factors, right? We spoke about compliance, as we all know, and this country has been through a journey in that, buyers of today and consumers of today are interested in understanding not only about the quality of the product or the quality of the raw material, but whether it's being manufactured in a factory which has structural safety, which has been audited for energy efficiency, which has decent workplace condition, which doesn't use child labor. All of us know that, but it's important. If that doesn't exist in a sector, then you don't really scale up. And more important than compliance today somehow is sustainability. And today, regulators across the world are ensuring that the value chain adheres to certain reporting on carbon. And it's a beginning of a journey. So it's probably a collective responsibility of the sector as well as the buyers and the retailers to accede to that, right? But a key thing in the world of fashion, as you all know, is speed to market or turnaround time. Whether a sector is may have capacity, may have the capability, produces quality goods at sustainable speeds, but if it does not, all these sectors have various, backward linkages, which is why we're not discussing supply chain over here. We're discussing value chain. So if a sector is not sufficiently backward linked and, integrated, it becomes very difficult for the sector to, despite having capacity and capability, supply at the least possible time. Because remember, you are not alone in this sector. You are competing with other very large countries which have already scaled up production, right? There's China, there's Vietnam. We all know the countries that are ahead of Bangladesh, right? So TAT is probably a very, very important factor over here because time is money, okay? So along with this, there are push factors. You might be having everything like this, but since you're competing, you still have to hustle, right? So you still have to reach out to buyers. You still have to build those relationships. You still have to go out and sell your wear, right? So what we are going to hear from the distinguished panelists now, starting with Marshall Bhai, is the several aspects of the pull and push that have helped them, succeed in this sector, and in other cases, people have seen them contribute to the success of a sector, right? So with that, I hand over to Marshall Bhai. Marshall Bhai, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Das, to allow me to share my experience. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marshall, and I am the head of the operation of the MAF Shoes Limited. Our journey started back in 2008 when the idea was like to go into the shoe business rather than apparel industry. So the idea was from my father. Then we had a thinking like we already have enough garments industry, then why not shoes? This is going to be the next best thing. So that was the idea. We never thought of to invest in shoe industry just from a discussion. But later on it happened. I still remember probably my serial number in the LFMEA enlistment is 25. So we have enlisted my company in 2008 in LFMEA, and probably if, my serial number was 25 back then. Right now, we have over 200 factories in over a decade. I mean, like in 15 years' time. So you can divide the numbers, like 175 factories by 15. How many factories a year? So you can see the scale, our economy, if I talk about like, we are not anymore crawling, we are running. Definitely Bangladesh is running, economy is moving, people are investing in different things, ideas been generating in different levels. I mean, like if back in 20s or early 90s, if you talk about anyone that everyone was involved in apparel industry. Though it is our largest segment, and our total export is covered over like 80%, I guess, if I'm not wrong. But this number will eventually will not be the highest number, what I can say right now. If in 15 years if we have 175 factories, probably and down the line after 10 years, probably we're going to have 200 more factories, I guess. So 2011, our journey started with the 5,000 pairs, our first order. That was the beginning. And later on, the number was multiplied by thousands and hundreds. But the problem was back then in Bangladesh, I mean, like, we barely had any material, nothing. Anything that we want to talk about, including a lace, it's a very nominal thing. In one pair, a lace may cost like 60 or 70 cents. But again, that one has to import it. It was not locally available. Yep, our leather sector was really very strong back then and still today now. It's because our backward integration and the valuation was over 90%, if I'm not wrong, is over 90%. So if I talk about the speed to market context, I mean, like, since we have a very strong background in tannery, if any order generates now, today, probably, I don't think it takes not more than over like 30 days to ready the product and to ship it out. Since you have your own tannery in hand, so it's not imported, it's locally available. And now we have a few tanneries who has all kinds of certification. So there is no issues with the quality thing. I mean, like, no toxic, nothing. Is LWG certified. Already we have few factories right now in running. After 2011, if I talk about the sports shoes factories, because this is my field and what I am good at, gradually all the investments are coming in the backward linkages. In 15 years right now, we have 29 factories. Those cover, I mean, like, 75% of our total consumption, all the materials now is locally available. You talk about the synthetic leather. Apart from the leather, now we have a synthetic leather factory. We have a mesh factory right now. We have a polyester fabric right now. So you just name, we have all sorts of things to add the value chain, definitely. I mean, like, if we didn't have all kinds of material like now, probably we would not be able to serve the market as fast as now we are doing right now. So this is one very strong point that I must mention is not only the finished goods factories are growing side by side, definitely our backward integrations are also growing along with it. 10 years back, we didn't have any sole factory. Now we have a lot of sole factories right now serving in the market. The Chinese factories and the Taiwanese factories. We didn't have any TPR compounding factories. Now we have the TPR compounding factories right now. Our company, we consume 65 tons of TPR every single month, and we are sourcing it from locally, not anymore from Taiwan or China. So these are small aspects that is helping to build this sports footwear market along with the overall the shoe industry in Bangladesh. Probably after 10 years, we don't have to depend on anymore to China or Taiwan or Korea. Every single material will be available locally. You already have mentioned about the speed to market. These are the points, these are the keys that will help us to serve the market as fast as possible. Probably right now it takes near about like 120 to 130 days to deliver the products. Sooner or later it will come down to 45 days. Maybe our Merrill, because those kind of shoes they have been producing in the EPZs in Taiwanese and Chinese companies. Now I know a few companies, or local companies, that they are manufacturing Wolverine, Merrill, all the safety boots and snow boots. So these are the points that like 5-10 years back we have been thinking of, we have been dreaming of. Now today we are doing it. In the past, like in the overall Bangladesh apparel industry was barely, I must say, it's in an infant situation. I mean, like we have been just trying to learn how to walk. Now the brand name that I'm talking about, the Wolverines and the Merrill, AMG safety boots, walking boots, running, you just name any sport, it's all manufacturing in here. We are no longer in an infant situation. We are right now kind of a pro, I must say. The buyer part of thing that you a little bit mentioned, that about the quality part, like still Bangladesh is able to do the other kinds of shoes as well, apart from this economic kind. Now the average FOB from my factory is about like $10. 5 years back it was $4. So value addition, the pricing, the points, it's growing day by day. It's growing day by day. The guys, those have like 15-20 years of experience in footwear manufacturing. They will move on to higher FOB prices, and the newer companies, this is newly established, they will do the economic version of the shoes too, because it will be easier for them to do.
Yep.
The learning curve by percentage, I must say, is over 100% in Bangladesh right now. The best part is we have a school here under the Dhaka University where we have a certification, a 4 years graduation course where the students get to learn the tanneries, the footwear and all. In the universities, we are teaching our students how to make shoes, how to prepare tanneries, how to use the AutoCAD. And after the graduation, then again, we have another program under the association where we have professional training. The trainers are coming from across the world. A couple of months back also we had a session, and the trainers, the trainer was from India. Okay. I think it was about like a week course. So these are the advanced course already been introduced. So probably later on, Bangladesh will never be depending on any more expats very soon. So these are the things that I can see that we shall not talk about any more other industries later on. We will talk about only the footwear industries, how it's growing. Today our export number is about 1.7 billion. Down the line that I can see is probably in 5 years' time, it will be $6 to $7 billion. The way that the investments are coming, it will be the next best thing.
Fantastic. I mean, thanks a lot, Marshall. I mean, I know you overshot time, but you've excited all of us so much that I didn't dare to stop you. But let's just pause for a second, and I'll come back to you with questions. Over to you, Dr. Sylvia.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. And as I have been announced, I'm not from the business, so I'm not from the private sector. I come from development cooperation. So when I entered this hall here today, not only that I'm from development cooperation, I was asked, please don't bore the audience with compliance. So I'm promising I will not do so. But I have, of course, to take a bit of a different perspective. And I want to say that in German Development Cooperation, we consider ourselves, so to say, honest broker between all the involved stakeholders. It's usually the government, it's the private sector, on the brand side, but also on the supplier side. And I totally agree that there is an increasing demand for more production of brands here in Bangladesh, in leather as well as textile. And I know this because we are usually not supposed to have broker deals between the factories and the brands. But I'm always asked by the brands, can you name, and then it's like a good factory, a compliant factory, we want to enlarge business. So there I totally agree, there's a huge possibility for the sector as well. Nevertheless, and I think we have to acknowledge that there's a change in international relationships when it comes to the traditional business-to-business model. Because you all are aware, and I think it has also been discussed about, there are more and more directives, regulations, laws, which require the side of the buyers to ensure that human rights and environment protection are, so to say, guaranteed in the global supply chain. And of course, this becomes enormously important for countries like Bangladesh by utilizing the value-added production here. But I would say Bangladesh should really see these kind of directives and the changes which are coming up, especially in the leather sector, as an opportunity. I mean, if you have so much value addition within your own country, the government of Bangladesh, together with the industry, can be in the driver's seat to set the rules on how to show it. And for me, the key to this is transparency. Because I don't want to talk about whether it's compliant or not. But if we're assuming everything is compliant, still there's the need to show it to the world. And as long as the buyers will have the feeling that for them it's very, very easy to say in this factory or in this country I can source responsibly, they will come. And when we are talking about this transparency, I would say most important is to make use of tools in the area of digitalization. Yeah? I mean, there are softwares available, there's a lot of things already on the market, but I would also say that as an industry itself, LFMAB can take up the role of guiding and steering the structure. Now I'm coming to what we are, so to say, doing. So we are at the moment, for example, cooperating with LFMAB to digitalize all internal member services, yeah? Licensing online, to pay the fees online. So it would kind of avoid travel costs, all these paperless things which are then not in place. Scheduling visits for audits, having notification, having simply a better connection between the members of LFMAB and the association itself. But this can also go beyond this. It can go beyond in terms of utilizing this platform to kind of make transparent information about the single factories available, which would allow the buyers, what I said before, to see, okay, that is from the brand one, the supply chain in Bangladesh in that sector, and these certifications are required, and they have it. So I think this is an investment, so to say, to look into the question of how can I show the world that I fulfill the requirements and how can I make use of the association supporting me. And of course, also development cooperation is willing to support in terms of this when it, for example, comes to awareness. I mean, first of all, someone has to understand the world of so many different requirements. It's going to be like a matrix. So, of course, for example, GIZ has projects on supporting the industry to make really, in a practical sense, what is required if I want to source from this or this country. How do I have to understand the laws? And we are very often, we are, of course, willing to extend this as wanted.
Terrific. Short and sweet, Sylvia. Thanks a lot. Ehsan bhai, over to you.
Hello. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. So, thank you to my panelist and mentor. They have actually covered most of the things that I was planning to give my opening speech. So anyway, let me also start some positive vibes, which is very important for us to understand why we cannot go to the global value chain? Why we cannot put our steps very strongly to that person? Couple of months back, World Economics declared Bangladesh as the most and fastest growing country among 32 countries of Asia Pacific. Also, we have heard from our mentor, Sandeep Bhai. He already expressed the push and pull method. He rightly said that for push, we have a lot of things. That practical example given by Marshall Bhai. Also, we have heard something from the development partners. They are also looking Bangladesh very positively. So my expertise actually in the field of sales and marketing. So rest of the session, we will explore. Just treat us as the starter of the discussion, and all of you are here. I'm sure everybody will participate, and we will expect that all questions we should learn and we should take care properly so that we can come out from this session that can help us, help the association, help the country to move forward. One thing I want to request all of us, whoever present here and even not here, we have to believe on us. That is the most important thing right at this moment. We have all the resources, we have everything for our backward linkage, for the value chain. Then why we are not registering ourselves with a good number of exports? Definitely might have somewhere we need some tunings. That we will try to find out by this session or after this session. So let's think collectively. Probably that is one of the things we can strengthen in ourselves, and we can think as one goal, one team. So I am not going to linger anything right now. There are a couple of sessions after this one. So over to Sandeep Bhai.
Thanks a lot, Ehsan Bhai. So this was a fabulous opening deal. So I can imagine what's going to happen right now when we're going to open up, with questions. So the summary of what I have got from what you've discussed is, Marshall Bhai, you said that the world of the value chain in footwear, particularly in sports footwear, has changed in the last 1 decade. You see investments in the value chain to be a big enabler. Also training and development, which is building self-sufficiency. Sylvia, you were speaking about transparency as an opportunity to showcase to the world the status of the value chain over here, which will attract people to this country. And I think, Ehsan Bhai, you've spoken probably about the most important thing of all, which is self-belief, which is fabulous. Now let's start with the questions. I know, Marshall Bhai, the first question goes to you, of course, and you have been speaking about it in your opening speech. So the question is obviously, how can backward integration specifically help, include Bangladesh in the value chain? But I also want to add a rider to this. What do you think can, happen, amongst all the stakeholders for that backward integration to be accelerated, that process to be accelerated?
Thank you. It won't take long to answer your question, is because if there is no backward integration it's locally available, then after the order confirmation, I have to go to other exporting countries to import my raw materials. Then in that case, it takes nearly 10 to 11 weeks to import the material. That means 70 to 80 days is already been gone. Then we have to plan for the production, then again for the shipment. So altogether, it takes minimum 120 to 150 days to make the our shipment, if everything is online and is okay, if I must say. And the other side of the side is like, if the backward integration is locally available, then it takes only 2 weeks to reach the material in my site. So probably in 4 weeks' time, I can able to ship it out. So that's the speed to market. That's the growth. I can save at least 6 weeks if I have the raw materials in hand or locally available. Nowadays, the time, they're saying the time is money. If I can 6 weeks from, if I can save 6 weeks, then you can assume like how much money that I already have saved. This is the speed to market.
So how do we accelerate this, backward integration process? How do we get more investments in the sector? Because that's what you said, right?
We don't have to do anything. It's a natural order. Where there's a demand, the supply will be automatically there. I mean, like, last 10 years, what happened? It's nobody asked these guys to come and invest in this field because they knew the investments, the shipments and the productions is now booming in Bangladesh. So the non-leather, synthetic leather footwear is invested by a Korean guy. The factory name is Dongwoo. Then the mesh is by the young one. The mesh fabrics that we are buying right now is from the young one. And then there's another fabric called, it's a polyester. It's a nylon 600D. Luckily, this one is available. We are buying it from Islam Group. So if we talk about the footwear, it's not like it's not from the other world. It's the half of the material is kind of like locally available. It's a kind of textile material which is available. If my shoes upper is made of denim, then we have like hundreds of factories. Those produces denim textile. The mesh fabric in garments also they use the mesh fabric. Young one they had the mesh factory. Now we are buying the mesh fabric from them. For the backpack and the tent, this a polyester, the 600D, we use it in a backpack and the tent factory. Now we are using it in a shoe factory as well. So it's a shoe and the garments in somewhere it's a kind of like correlated in terms of like if the upper material sourcing. Some are a common material. Now this is again helping us to again to build the factories to source the material, and some are definitely specifically for footwear, which we used to buy from China and Thailand or Taiwan. Now some of them are locally available, like the sole industry. Sole now we have a very few Chinese investments and some local investments as well. Now and again the midsole factories, same as it is now locally, and Chinese FDIs are also here to support their value chain, their supply chain. Because now earlier, like if we want to serve the market, we cannot just look into the A category brands, not like the Nike, Adidas, Reeboks, or all those big boys names. No, there are like thousands of names that we can play in. Then we can move in, look into it. Like the C-type brands, or small brands that are serving specifically one market zone, that we can take a look. Like if I talk about like Red Tape, it's a very big Indian company. Now they are sourcing it from locally. It's local, but for us it's global. We are exporting to India to one local company, but again we are selling it to exporting to a global. In Poland, we are exporting. In Germany, in France, in Italy, all the small brands that we can look into it to serve the market, so that we can grow. It's not always has to be like to have a big A category brand. No, that will be really very tough. The competition will be extreme. So this is where now Bangladesh is placing itself to serve all the small companies, or the companies those are dealing with the very high price sensitive products. So this is where we can play into still, because we are economic in terms of overheads and other expenses that if I want to mention, rather than China and Vietnam or Indonesia. So we have to focus on not the high-end products, bulk quantity, medium range, and economic versions. Later on, definitely we will move into all those big boys club.
Great stuff. Good.
Thank you.
So basically you're saying first there's a natural scheme of economics which attracts investments in a sector that is growing, which is, I completely agree with you. And then you said that, you need to use the existing resources of, raw material, denims, fabric, whatever is
Definitely,
available because of the current status of Bangladesh. And also targeting the right segment also is important, where you don't get into an acute competitive set, but you figure out, where to, target and get your business from.
Where I want to place myself.
Yeah. I think that's a fabulous answer. Okay, good stuff. So moving on to Dr. Sylvia. What are your views on the current status of labor protection in this sector, and how do you think that can help the sector grow?
So I mean, it's obvious to everyone that labor protection, labor rights, human rights are important. And that's not what it's only myself saying. I think it has also been said by the Prime Minister yesterday that growth is important, but of course all of this growth has to be under decent working conditions, under accepting and protecting the rights of the workers. And we all know what this means. We talk about freedom of association, we talk about minimum wage, and there are so many things to this, about a safe workplace. There are a lot of aspects which are in the sphere of labor rights. But I would like to use the opportunity to talk today about one aspect which is at the bottom of my heart because I'm working on it, and where I still think there is a lot of room for improvement for Bangladesh. And this is the area of social protection. Social protection means that everyone is kind of protected when one or the other risks in life is occurring. This means being financially protected in terms of illness, in terms of accidents, in terms of unemployment. And Bangladesh is already making progress here. I mean, most of you will be aware that Bangladesh government has just announced a pension scheme to be implemented. Yeah, so that's one very, very good thing. Another important aspect is employment injury. And I would like to give you the example that the International Labour Organization, together with GIZ, is currently implementing an employment injury scheme in the RMG sector. And to put it very easy, the scheme is at the moment having benefits for workers who die at work or who become permanently disabled. Yeah? So if a worker dies, the family, the dependents will receive monthly benefits as a replacement for the income. If a worker is permanently disabled, he will also receive a certain percentage of the last wage. So this helps the people, after these kind of risks have occurred, to continue having a decent life. And I think what is so important about this scheme is that it is a cooperation between all involved stakeholders. So it's not an ILO, it's not a GIZ scheme, it's an initiative of the Bangladesh government. So it's tripartite, it has been set up in a tripartite structure with the technical support. And as we always, and most of the people I guess would understand this, as we always have to look into the question of costs. At the moment, this scheme is financed by international brands. So this means that the stakeholders have agreed upon that for a certain period of time, the brands will contribute to these benefits. And in the meantime, all the structures with the technical support are being set up in order to have taken it over by the employers in a later stage. So there is an interest of everyone. When I am in the Ministry of Labor, they say it should not be always only RMG. We should enlarge these schemes to other sectors. Yeah? This is also the interest of the brands who, paying for the scheme at the moment. They also have an interest to kind of have these available for the workers of the leather industry. But it's the decision to introduce such a scheme is not on me. It is the leather sector, it's the industry who needs to come forward and discuss with the stakeholders, discuss with the brands, discuss with the government, and discuss, of course, with the worker representatives what could be possible solutions to implement this as well, and kind of to give a very proactive approach in showing that the employers are really willing to improve the working conditions of the workers in Bangladesh.
Terrific. Thanks, Dr. Sylvia, for that. I think you spoke from the heart about social protection and highly appreciated. Of course, it's a very, very important enabler for the sector to grow because it's at the heart of what builds the sector, really. Okay, moving on to Ehsan Bhai. Ehsan Bhai, it's a build from what Marshall Bhai said. He briefly spoke about targeting. And, we know that you're a sales and marketing professional. So, for the Bangladesh leather and footwear sector to sort of scale up their contribution in the, global value chain, what do you think are the right segmentation strategies to be able to better, leverage the global marketplace? Do you think certain sectors need to be targeted, certain others not? What are your views?
Thank you, Sandeep Bhai. Again, let me start some questions. So far, whatever we heard, and also we know everything. Everywhere for Bangladesh, there are all positive vibes. Economics are telling Bangladesh is a rising country. We know we have some good asset which is very much required for footwear industry. If I talk about that is our workforce. Yes, we have not finished leather, but we have a ample opportunity to make it okay for us for export and everything. Then for social point of view or social responsibility point of view, we are doing so many things. Organizations are supporting us. And hopefully we will improve ourselves within next couple of years. That's also in line. And global perspective, now Globe is also trying to diversify their supply chain partners, whatever we know. They are also trying to come out from the dependency of one or two single source. In fact, pandemic gave us this lesson, then don't depend on someone too much. So having all of this positive vibe for Bangladesh, why we are still exporting 1.7 billion? We can ask ourselves, why we are still only a peanuts of the total export, where the market size is around 8 to 700 billion, if I'm not wrong enough. So maybe there are something wrong, or maybe there are some points that we are not tapping. From my point of view, what I can feel, probably we may have some limitations tapping the right place. Market is big. If we cannot select our destination, or if we cannot focus to our target, that this is the group we are targeting, or these are the buyers where we need to promote ourselves, promote Bangladesh as a brand. Yes, we are doing so many activities. Everything is a part of marketing. Everything is part of segmenting things and all. But as Sandeep Bhai asked me the question, segmentation is the beauty of marketing. What's that? If we very simply think about some activities of our daily life, if we really want to get something from somebody who is a very knowledgeable or very, might be a target person where we cannot go every day. So what we have to do? We have to, first of all, prepare ourselves. We have to think what is our strength, what is our limitations. Then we also have to think about how I can sell myself to that gentleman or that office so that I can get my things done. So for this reason, what I just said, we need to fix up our target. So fixing target, meaning for the context of our footwear, we have to target our markets, because this market is so big. If our resource is limited, so if we want to really get into somewhere that can give us a positive business, or we can increase our share in the value chain, we need to ban on this segmentation. So before this segmentation, what we need to do, we have to understand our limitations. Where our limitations, what are the limitations that our market currently experiencing. Then if we target one particular buyer or brand, or if we target one particular market, we have to understand what that market wants. Are they asking for something that we do not have, or we have some limitations? So that is what we need to point. We also need to understand, that is very important, we need to understand quite well how my competition, maybe I can name some of the countries we are exporting, say China, Vietnam, or India. They are much, much stronger supplier than us. Let's ask ourselves why they are strong, why we are not getting that competitive edge. So evaluating all these things, we can draw a line, or we can make our market mapping, how we will move. And all these things is only possible when, as a group, we can target ourselves for a particular market or for a bunch of brands. So once the target and focus is fixed, then we can point out one by one what would be our action plan for getting these things. Maybe that can help us to achieve our goal of 2023 to get 10 billion worth of export by 2023. So this is all about segmentation. So once the segmentation part is done, there are many steps that we can take for making them positive for us or for Bangladesh.
Terrific. Thanks. So in simple terms, what you're saying is we need to introspect and you need to play to your strengths, not to your weaknesses.
Exactly. So in fact, we need to highlight our strengths, or what can we produce from Bangladesh, or we have to prove ourselves as a brand to that particular group of buyers or in particular market. I mean, again, I'm telling you, market is so big. So if we, move having no target, maybe we cannot reach the destination. Everybody will know that already, world already know Bangladesh is a good supplying country. But then again, why then I am not getting that volume that we want to generate? Yeah. Maybe there are some, from our point of view, gaps that we need to tap. That segmentation will support us to identify and move forward for that particular target.
It's a fabulous point. I think if there are medium-sized factories who are listening to this is a very important point. Okay, back to you, Marshall Bhai. But before that, you spoke about your dream of certain brands. People like us, when we are in forum like this, we can't mention brands.
Okay.
But let me tell you, two of the brands you just mentioned, which was your dream that one day these brands will come to Bangladesh. So I was in Taiwan 3 months ago, and one of those brands is saying that, look, we are setting up this. And Sylvia, exactly like they ask you, they were asking me, do you know which the factories are? So I said, look, I'm a neutral third party. But of course, I can introduce you to people across the spectrum. But those interests, like you correctly said, they are there. It's not a dream anymore, it's a reality. So my next question to you is, since you've got this trailblazing journey in the area of sports shoes, so do you think the sports shoe interest and the current growth that is being experienced by Bangladesh, that can be a lever to push the Bangladesh contribution from the current 1.7, 1.6 billion to, say, whatever, maybe double the turnover? Can it be done by sports shoes, as that's a fairly specific type of shoe?
Well, the shoe is a very complex thing is because when we talk about the sport shoes, usually we have thinking in mind that it's not made of leather, it's made of fabric. Sport shoes also can be made of leather as well. So usage of material is determined by the designer. So if I talk about the casual wear, I mean like in the casual industry, Bangladesh is doing really very good right now. The market is moving, it's very strongly. And then the export shoes industry is also the export number. It's doubling every single year. I mean like doubling means it's not anymore in the single digit percentage. It's again like 25%, 30% growth every day to day, every single year. Definitely it's possible is because when you learn, I mean like there's a saying is always, it's really very hard to make your first 100. Then your first 100,000, then million. We already have crossed the billion. We are no longer in 100,000 or million number. We are talking about the billions. Billions been crossed like 2 years, 3 years back. Now we are exporting 1.7. Shoe, I think it's the next door. Probably it's knocking in 2023 or 24. Probably we will exceed $2 billion by next year. So, and if see the total statistics globally, it's sports shoe industries is covering over 70% of the total consumption right now. In spite of like it's made of fabric or made of leather, doesn't matter. I'm talking about the sports shoe industries. Nowadays, walking is also an sport. It's not just running that I'm talking about. Walking, running, hiking, in the beach wear, just name anything. Apart from you sleeping, everything is sports right now. So industry is covering. You see, like to promote their products, now all these big companies, they have segmented in vast numbers, and the segments after segments, and they also have sub-segments in the segments. If it's a word for us, like gym shoes. Gym means I'm like, okay, indoor gym, that I'll be wearing a kind of a sneaker. Now they have shoes for the weightlifting. They have shoes for the treadmill. I'm like, if you want to buy, you can buy hundreds of different pairs of shoes to serve your daily activity. Again, I think it will be even less. So you see the segmentation. Gym shoes, walking, running, hiking. I mean like in my days when I was a kid, I used to buy a pair of shoes. I mean like it doesn't matter where I'm using it. Now you have hundreds of segments. Just keep on buying it. Yes, definitely Bangladesh can play a very significant role in it, because if I talk about the running shoes, is very specific, very precise, and a bit complexity in it. But the leisure, casual wear, or daily wear, or walking shoes, these are very much a simplistic, easy process, easy going. So that's what we have been doing, and that's what the Bangladesh or the upcoming new factories will be doing to serve the market. Definitely Bangladesh will grow. Thank you.
Terrific, terrific. I mean, one thing I can tell you, this guy should be the salesperson for Bangladesh shoe industry in the global arena, because, you know, you've just spoken about 100 different kinds of shoes. When I was a kid, I used to have a Bata Keds, right? So, I mean, that too, you know, I used to struggle with my dad to get a replacement when the sole used to go off, because then we used to put, you know, something like a Fevicol or something, you know, and put the sole. I mean, these are, you can't tell that to your kids today, but, you know, definitely, I completely agree with you that incredible number of shoes. If you walk into a large brand store, you will see all those types. And you are forced to consider, I mean, you know, they create these needs within you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so Dr. Sylvia, I'll just follow up. You said, you spoke about social protection, obviously. I just wanted to, obviously, can you just tell us a little more about the linkages of social protection and how it can help scale up the sector? That's my first question. And a bit of a rider is, when you completed your first piece, you said that the industry, it's a collaborative effort, and the industry will have to come together with other stakeholders to make it happen. I mean, the doins of the industry are all within this room. So what do you think the industry should do to make it happen? I mean, two questions.
I mean, I can start with the last question. What the industry is supposed, from my perspective, to make it happen is first start talking about it. And we as development cooperation usually can only support initiatives which are come of the request by one of the involved parties, and that's the government. And the government is the most important player in this regard, because all it's about setting up a regulatory framework to enable the employers to invest in these kind of social protection mechanisms. But as long as nobody speaks about it and nobody sets up the fora to say, how can we all jointly do so? I think it's very difficult for us to make it happen, because I can tell you from the process of the employment injury pilot in the RMG, these kind of things require like long year discussions, negotiations, defining of SOPs, standard operating procedures, defining the target group, setting up steering structures. So there's a lot of complexity behind, which is definitely to be handled. There's also a question of who's going to pay first, how do we do it? We need to know more about accidents in the first place in the leather sector to determine the costs of what would it be in percentage of the wage to set up any kind of employment injury. And what I also think is, what is important is kind of losing the fear of that additional costs for social protection, which usually belong to the non-negotiable costs of the wage, would hamper the industry. Because most people don't know that, for example, an accident insurance is really not that costly. It's in most of the countries of the world, you would have it below 1% of the wage of the worker. So what I'm talking about is, like, in the long run, in a couple of years, having the employers paying 1% more of the wage of the worker to enable them to have a decent life in the tragic case of an accident. That is, I would say it's not such a huge demand. And I'm pretty sure, because when I speak to factories itself, all of them are kind of keen to learn more about it. They really want it, because we all want a friendly environment where we are. We want a good environment. The workers want this environment, and the employers want this environment at all, because of course this increases the productivity within the factory if, so to say, both parties are happy and jointly work together.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot, Dr. Sylvia. Okay, Ehsan Bhai, your question, and then, so we do a wrap then, and then we take questions from the audience. So you spoke a lot about segmentation and targeting, which was fabulous. And you also said you were constantly asking this question that, if we are so good, then why are we not already at, wherever we want to be, say 6 billion or 10 billion or whatever you want to, wherever you want to be. So I just want to ask a connected question. How do you think the sector should brand itself to the global market, to the buyer community, to be able to better communicate the Bangladesh unique selling points, if you will?
Thank you, Sandeep bhai. So what we need to do, we have to create the likeness to the reality, or in value term. Somebody is liking me, somebody is liking Bangladesh, any buyer or any country, that Bangladesh is a very good production hub. They are taking many new initiatives, they have many facilities, and so on. But that is not enough, as our experience is telling that. So now, if we really want to make it or convert it to the value, what we need to do, we have to take some tips of marketing, so that that community or that buyer can start thinking, giving us the orders. Now that is what we need. We have to make it happen. And this is not possible only by, say, Marshall Bhai or only by Sandeep Bhai. It's a effort we need by every corner. Government is there, association is also there, and other members, and everybody should take the positive part of it. So one thing what I can feel, we all are in the B2B business. So for B2B business, as a seller, I am calculating everything. My profit and loss, my expenditure and all. In the similar manner, whoever is going to give me the order, he is also actually calculating all these things. So it's like we all face many interviews in our life. So in the very beginning, in an interview board, someone may ask, sell yourself. So if I want to sell myself, I must have some unique thing, which in marketing language said USP. So now as a team, we first of all need to find out USP for Bangladesh, unique selling proposition for Bangladesh. That is very important. So once we can find out this unique selling proposition for Bangladesh as a brand, number one. Number two, we can talk about value addition. Why, say as a buyer, I can ask, this is Bangladesh, why should I order you instead of ordering to my neighbor country, your neighbor country, India or China or Vietnam? Then as a seller, that is Bangladesh, we have to let them understand these are the things we can add. It can be innovative design hub. It can be productive production procedure. It can be, they may be interested with very neat and clean production procedures, and definitely competitive price. So all the discussion that we done so far, and as all of we are very much matured and experienced for this industry, we know Bangladesh is really competitive. Now this is something also we need to ask ourselves, are we really competitive? That is also we need to ask. Yes, I know maybe one of my worker bhai is getting very minimum than other good countries or big countries like China, Vietnam or India. But after the production, the output that can be generated by one of our worker, is it really competitive with the output of a worker of China, Vietnam or India? That question we have to ask ourselves. We have our managemental excellencies. We have our lot of other excellencies. We really need to now calculate ourselves. Is that excellencies actually a value addition for that my target group? So to branding ourselves, as you asked Sandeep Bhai, we need to do couple of round of exercises. Anybody, maybe association can take a lead. A small example, maybe that's not a big example. Say our RMG industry, they are trying their best to showcase their lot of benefits in many ways. Yes, association or this industry also doing the same thing. Maybe there are somewhere something missing. We have to find out those things. So once we can find out those things, we may start believing relationship marketing. So that is all we are doing. We all have some 1, 2, 3 or 10 buyers we are working for. What are we doing? We are doing relationship with them, ensuring and rest assuring them we are the ability to provide your requirement with your JIT, just in time. So this all things, this message we need to provide to the brands, those we are targeting. Segmentation I talked about, because unless I make the segmentation, I cannot fix my target. I cannot go everywhere. It's not very sustainable if I start marketing for everything. Maybe the output mass marketing may not give me my desired level of output. So get desired level of output, segmentation, that is maybe prove as a very positive and effective tools. After that, we should make a small team. They will study, they will do the feasibility, our limitation, the strength of our competitions. From all these informations, they can draw a map, road to linking Bangladesh to global value chain. On the basis of that map, we may start that all marketing activities like relationship marketing, as Sandeep Bhai already says, push things are already there, many push things are already there, but now we have to ensure as a brand that we are completing the effective pulling, meaning sending the message to my destination so that they can positively think to provide the orders to Bangladesh instead of other 2-3 countries. We have so many positive things already there. Whole globe is trying to diversify their business, and you can say this is also a transformation of supply chain, that everybody, good buyers are thinking, we all have ideas who are the buyers. For the sake of secrecy and everything, we are not taking the names, and we already started that move. So if we can make some disciplined move with a very good roadmap, I believe branding Bangladesh won't be a challenge thing at all. And we may reach our destination of getting to 10 billion of export turnover by 2030 is very possible. And once again, I want to say the tagline that has selected by this association for the BLISS, possible in Bangladesh can be successful. Thank you, Shandip Bhai.
Fabulous, fabulous, Ehsan Bhai. So we've almost reached the end of the discussion. We'll all provide a 1-minute closing statement, after which we'll throw open the hall to questions and further discussions, if you will. I'll start with my closing comments, and which is just a nice summary of all the speakers have said, plus my own opinion. I think we've discussed a lot of pull and push factors, right? We've discussed speed to market, which can be possible by a free flow of investment to sort of, backward integrate the value chain. We've spoken about training and development in the sector, which builds self-sufficiency. We've spoken about social protection, creating transparency, and treating it as an investment, and creating a conversation around it. And most importantly, we have spoken about introspection and playing to your strengths. And like Ehsan Bhai succinctly puts it, you have to find out your USP and use things like relationship marketing to reach your goals. One thing I can tell you, as I was reinforcing during my opening portion, the conversation about Bangladesh is not limited to RMG anymore. That's my day job. I travel the world, meet with large retailers and buyers. Leather and footwear has already come into the conversation in Bangladesh. So we are not talking about the future anymore. The journey has just about begun, and I think possible in Bangladesh is very much a reality. But over to you, Marshall Bhai, for your closing comments.
Yes, it is absolutely right. The export basket is not anymore with one product only. The products are building. Even it's the shoes, the toys are coming up right now very, very fast. The toy industry. Then yesterday the Prime Minister was talking about jute and jute products, not only the fiber, but to make it, to have a different product line made out of jute. So, see, these are all, the name that I've mentioned, these are all small, currently a cottage industries right now in Bangladesh, and has the highest possibility to become one of the major earning source. among all of these small buckets, this is the footwear, the leather and non-leather footwear. I mean, like the whole the footwear kind of thing. Foot is not just a footwear; it's a footwear and the bag, I must say, because it's the same machines and the same process that we use in it. This can be the fastest growing basket that we can have right now, alongside with the garments. Definitely, I mustn't make any closing statement, but I must say to all my colleagues and the other investors is to believe in yourself. I mean, like, definitely we have to have a dream. We must see, like, in future what we can go, what kind of product that we are looking in our production line. But in the current state, do whatever best you can do. And this will be your key turning point, key thing that you can grow up to your dream. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Marshall Bhai. Dr. Sylvia?
Yeah, I mean, apart from being a development cooperation expert, I'm also a consumer. And I just wish that all the different suggestions and approaches which have been made on the panel today will lead to the fact that at the moment when I'm going back to my home country, which is Germany, I'm always so happy if I read produced in Bangladesh in one of the products. I hope that I will read it also when I'm retirement, and that I will still be happy to say, yes, there was a time where I supported the country in coming to linking it to the global value chain, so that higher value added goods, but also more diverse products, all of that from Bangladesh will be available in the different countries.
Thank you. Terrific. Ehsan Bhai, over to you.
So linking Bangladesh to global value chain, this selection of the topics is the requirement of the time. So thank you to the association, first of all, for taking such a nice topic for today's discussion, today's breakout session. And being a Bangladeshi, being a part of this industry, definitely we are wishing for the success of our footwear and leather industries. And trust me personally, it's my own feelings. From the very beginning of my journey to this industry, and for last couple of days as I was invited here as a panelist, so definitely I tried to see some papers, some literature and something. So getting all this information, I'm really very positive. We can do it. We definitely can do it. We have more or less everything to be a very strong supply chain partner for footwear and leather. Only few things may be missing, or some tuning maybe somewhere is required, that I'm sure if we address those things, it is time is not so far when we can also say that we are also like our ready-made garments industry. We are also equally contributing like the RMG. So again, the thing I started in my starting discussion, starting note, we have to think collectively. This is not a responsibility of one. This is not only my responsibility, or even I cannot think it is not my responsibility. It's our collective responsibility. If we can think about one team, one goal, the goal is what? We need to reach at least 10 billion by 2030. I should not say this is aspiration. This is actually we can. Actually, this is what we deserve, I should say like this. So believe on us, let's be collective, let's work as a team. Definitely we will get reach our desired goal. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thanks a lot, Ehsan Bhai. We now open the floor to questions. If anyone has questions, can you just circulate the mic maybe?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Shah Newaz. I'm a leather engineer, specialization footwear, product and tannery. As we know, our last year export earning is around 1.67 billion US dollar. It's a major part from non-leather footwear. And we know the total non-leather footwear market is the whole of the world, 70%. And this credit goes to Marshall Bhai because he's the pioneer leader of non-leather footwear industry. As a map, we know that they are leading non-leather footwear industry. My question, my 2 or 3 questions. One, the non-leather footwear, big challenge is supply chain. The footwear industry, the more than 100 component. This supply chain not easy. We are fully dependent on imported material. 90% material imported. So right now, if we calculate 1.67 billion US dollar, major part is from non-leather footwear. 90% material from imported. So now if we do calculation, so what's our earning in Bangladesh? This is the major questions. So my question to Mr. Marshall, we are giving more concentration on footwear industry. We are giving concentration on bag industry, tannery. Why not we are giving concentration in the material like PU, PVC, reinforcement material, thermoplastic, is a PU, glue, cement, neoprene cement. So if we give more concentration this area, then definitely our value will add. This is my number 1 question.
Can you answer that question? I mean, let's take it one by one.
Yeah.
Marshall bhai, do you want to just...
Thank you very much.
It's working.
Okay, thank you. Coming from here. Well, this is a very tough question, I must say. So I can reply you in one way, like egg or chicken, finished goods or raw materials first. At first, we have to do. If I have a finished goods supply chain, finished goods first, then I can think of a backward linkages. If there is no finished goods, then there is no need of a backward linkage. So at first, we have to have a demand for the backward linkage. That's why now we have 200 factories right now operating, manufacturing a shoe made of leather or leather, doesn't matter. We talk about one particular point is the footwear. Now we are having investments coming. The investments are coming in the backward integrations. I just mentioned this a few minutes ago. We have a synthetic leather fabric factory. We have a mesh supply. Then we have another material called P600D. It's used in the bag industry. I mean, like the backpack and waterproofing shoes, probably, if I'm not wrong. Then we have a sole industry, midsole industry, EVA industry. You just name it. I have 28 list number, different material, not one material of 28 supplies. It's 28 material manufacturing in Bangladesh right at this moment. What we are missing right now currently in, like our the factory, our association members. Please have a look, or if you have any doubt that this material can be available in Bangladesh, you check with the association. We have all the list who is doing what. You may find your own material. Definitely, we don't have any adequate number of supplies. Yes, for that reason, we are depending on China or Vietnam or what else. But again, the process has already begun. If you see the history in China, the footwear industry in China is a 60 years history. the process, the factories, the innovations is developed in China. It's not easy to take out. But again, 20 years back, the Chinese export numbers were like 85%. Right now, today is 55. The process are coming out, the factories are coming out because China is no longer economic anymore because they are now expensive. Factories are moving to Vietnam, to Indonesia. Now factories are coming in Bangladesh. Since you are in the footwear graduation, you know how many Chinese factories are running and how many is waiting to come. So if the remaining is have their factories in locally, definitely the backward integration will come automatically. It just we just have to wait a few more years. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Marshall Bhai. Yeah, can that gentleman, can you, excuse me, can you just give someone else a chance and then we'll come back to you? Yep. All right.
Hi, my name is Labik Kamal. I'm Managing Director for ECM Footwear. So we have 2 synthetic lines and 1 leather line. I had the opportunity to talk with Marshall Bhai over phone a few days back regarding some suggestions and stuff like that. So my question is for factories which are 15 years old, 20 years old and who have already paid off the bank and are in a position to give a very competitive price, it's okay. For people like us who are in the industry for 3 years, 5 years and are still struggling to get the good customers, the good price. When we talk of, it's my question to the lady also, the same question, that the brands demand a good amount of investment in the factory to pick it up for Europe BSCI, for US RAP, for India now we have BIS, which is very expensive as it's looking. But we will invest, but who is ensuring the price that goes into that FOB? When we are talking, when we're asking for that price, they're negotiating the 10 cents or 5 cents on the shoe. And all the development corporations are quiet. They're not saying anything in this subject. They just want development. But as far as the pricing is concerned, and when the brands deny to pay us the price, what is their role? Number one, they cannot just keep on talking on one side of the field. From our side, servicing our banks, servicing our local situation, and the some costs which are there we cannot put in the accounts in Bangladesh scenario. So our costs keep getting higher and higher. So how to tackle that and get that price out of the brands? I'm not talking about the major boys you're talking about. Even medium brands, how to get that out with our limited capacities. And of course, I want to thank you. I had no idea about Young One making mesh and Islam Group making sports material. So very, very good information from me, and I will look into it. But this issue of getting the right price, because I know the same price, the same shoe in China is being made for $7, but as soon as it comes to Bangladesh, they're asking for $4, $5, which I'm sure you have passed this journey. And I know you're sitting in a position where you are able to address this issue with all this experience behind you. We are facing difficulties, we are struggling. So we seek your advice and your help.
I think it's a question for you, but other than that, I think you should do an information webinar to your fellow, compatriots about what you can get where and some learning sharing, because I think that's also a big part of the industry growing up, right?
Thank you, Bhai. Well, if this is a question, then there is no answer to it, at least from me, from my side. Still, we are struggling and going through the same process. Yes, we are economic, so the buyer, from the buyer end, I think they have a thinking like the economic level is too high. That's why the $7 comes to $4 when they're asking. If your costing is open CBD based, then you can show it to your customer like your BOM cost. Yes, definitely not BOOM. It's your BOM cost, bill of material, BOM. You can show it to them and ask for your margin. Probably that might help. And you better know your price, your costing and all. I guess so. This is the best answer that I can give it to you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm Labik's father from the same group, ECM. I'm the chairman of the group. So the thinkings are more alike. But Field Marshal Bhai, what you said that you have no answer to the questions, I think there is an answer.
Thank you, sir.
We have about 200 plus industries. I'm very curious to know that out of these 200, how many are really in the green figure, in the profit figure? That is important. Earning 1.7 billion is important, but it's also important that what is they actually take away from 1.7 billion dollar. I have discussed with friends in the RMG. Situations are similar. The version is that if I'm not taking the order, my other company is taking order, because if I work, I can save the wage cost, the factory cost. If I don't work, it goes from my pocket. You see. So what the solution that I was asking, that where the association can intervene, that if they can educate the stakeholders about the costing, about the cost sheet. Why I'm telling you? Because in one of the costings, when they're submitting, my merchandiser was submitting, so there was a cost for the building and these depreciations, blah, blah, blah. So he came to me, sir, you built it with your own money. So why should you charge, depreciations and the financial cost? So this is the concept I find with the merchandiser. But I think it is the stakeholders who needs to be educated, who needs to be actually educated. I tell you that regarding the bargaining of the prices in terms of cents, I happened to be the president of France-Bangladesh Chamber when the Rana Plaza collapsed. So there were streamline of journalists coming from abroad, and few came to me also. And all kinds of accusation as if I was responsible regarding the labor welfare and etc., etc. So with a very artificial smile, I had to, take all the questions. And then finally, I asked, gentlemen, if you allow me, can I ask back few questions, one or two questions? They said yes. I said, do you know what price the buyers pay for a shirt that goes to Europe? So they gave a blank look. I said, I understand. Because you're not involved you're a journalist, you're not involved in the manufacturing process. But surely you know at what price you buy, because you're buying from the shops in Europe. I can tell you with responsibility, the difference is between 7 to 10 times. And I had no answer from them. And I told them, it's also your moral obligation to let your people know that what price your people are making, your profits are making, your business people are making, and how much they are paying actually to the people who are manufacturing. I'm sure when additional profit comes to the owner, a portion will go downward to the worker for the benefit. As she said that everybody wants a friendly environment to increase the productivity. So I think the main question lies that the costing, that is the area I think we need to focus on. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think the gentleman there at the back needs. Yep.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Hasib from Target Sourcing Services. I work as a sourcing manager over there. First of all, I would like to thank you all. Great session. I have a lot of idea right now about footwear, which I didn't have before. My question is to Sylvia. Benchmarking the apparel industry's responsible sourcing context and status currently, where do you see footwear's responsible sourcing status? And where do you feel the biggest room or scope for work or improvement is? Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, definitely I am not from the industry, yeah, so I can only answer the question of where I do see the leather industry itself is kind of comparable to the RMG industry. Yeah? So, and I think it's a lot about what my colleague just said. I think the RMG, so to say, if we assume the factories, because if the factories I have visited, especially in footwear, are very comparable to the RMG industry. But I think what is missing is exactly the marketing about it. Yeah. So I cannot give grades or marks for any terms of in that specific area, but I can say that to the point what I have seen in the industry, it is really comparable. And what I've said before, I've been asked a lot to name good ones because people are looking forward. It seems to be that there is still a mismatch between the brands, the buyers, and the suppliers here, and I can only agree that a little bit of more communication, of webinars, of what can be done is needed to lift this up and to have a marketing strategy would be kind of proud of Bangladesh for the leather as well.
Great stuff. I think we'll take the last question because I think we've spent quite a bit of time here and you people need to go around in the fair and mill around a little bit. But the last question, if any. The gentleman at the back.
Hello?
Yep, just go ahead. Okay, you'll be the last. You're the second last.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Polash. I am from a German retailer. Actually, it's not my question especially to Marshall Bhai and to Esan Bhai.
Louder please.
Yeah. So, especially to the association, because you are actually representing the associations. So my question is like, are we making any kind of like initiatives or strategic plan to branding Bangladesh shoe industries to the world, like how these RMG peoples are doing, like the BGMA peoples are doing?
Okay, the answer is look around you. Where are you right now and what is your surrounding? That's what is like, definitely association is promoting the Bangladesh footwear industry and made in Bangladesh. And you take a look like how many the foreigners here to look at it, like what we are doing and what the scenarios are now up to now.
It's a good one, definitely, but still the people who are participating is compared to the like how many industries we have in the footwear is very less. So I'm expecting a lot more.
This is our fourth this BLISS fair, right? The BLISS fair started in 1991 or 1990. So in 20 or in 30 years, this is our fourth fair. I believe that from next one it will be a bit irregular, since in the past we didn't have any enough number of investors to promote this industry. Now we have enough numbers, and again this Ukraine war is a bit suffering for all of us. I think this is a point that the other investors that they might have thought of, like, okay, let's the scenario a bit calm down, then maybe from next year we will come back to the fair to display our products, probably. Yeah. If this is a vibrant, then from next year you will see more.
Yeah, we're expecting a blast next year.
So you'll have to give him a blast, Marshall Bhai.
Huh?
That's the expectation, the blast.
No, I don't like the blast word anymore. It's too many blasting going around. I like the vibrant.
No, point taken, but as he's saying, it's a continuous improvement journey.
Okay.
Final question from the gentleman over there who had a list of 3 questions. You have to skip the last one, my friend. So the last question from you.
Thank you for giving me opportunity. My question, the non-leather products we are producing in Bangladesh, and this business is day by day growing up, especially PU materials, polyvinyl chloride, PVC materials, and we are using also phylon, MEVA, phylon we are using for sports shoe. Now the question, these materials are not environment friendly. Not environment friendly because this is not biodegradable. My question, this business will grow up because the price is competitive. So next, what will be our step? If I ask the question on the basis of environment friendly, so can be one solution recycle. So what's your planning? Recycle or another any issues in future?
Okay. That's very hard to answer right at this moment.
He asks all the hard questions, right?
I mean, like, the easy answer is no one has the answer right at this moment. And if you want me to add up something, it's we have EVA plant right now, and we keep on continuing recycling our EVA. And those are producing IMEVA probably, since it's also a subline of EVA, they're also, I think, recycling. We have a rubber outsole of our own. We do also recycle all the rubbers, the maximum that we can. And apart from that, if you talk about the upper material, I mean, like in Bangladesh, we don't have any adequate lab facilities to recycle those materials probably. And across the world, no one knows when, like how we can replace this product from non-biodegradable to degradable. Since we have the answer, like if anyone has any solution, definitely I will come back to you. Thank
Great
you very
stuff. Thanks, Marshall Bhai. And thanks everyone, the esteemed panelists, for having a very, very lively discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the session as much as I did. Thanks to LFMEAB for organizing it, because it was definitely a learning experience for all of us. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.